everyone, welcome to a new episode of Burnin. So we decided to do a little sit down here in the middle of winter and kind of do a little recap and some of the takeaways we had from last season. Obviously we do a lot of talking and a lot of thinking when we're sitting around waiting for the next Musky season here, and we kind of came up with some thoughts, just took some notes over the last few months, and what we saw this year and what we experienced, some of the takeaways that we want to share with you guys. So we kind of, obviously, as far as some of the recap, I would say it was a very slow start for us this year.
Yeah, compared to other years, the start was definitely the slowest that we've had.
Right. And usually we start in the Green Bay area for opener, and we've had some, amazing starts to the year. And this year was pretty grueling for us. I think we fished the opening weekend there, and it was just blank. So it was a reality check right off the bat, which, some years are good, take the good with the bad. And this year was a bad start, slow start, but then we ended up going up northern Wisconsin, and we started moving fish at least. So, from there we kind of transitioned into finally, we got the monkey off the back. I think like third week of season, which, it was tough up until that point, because you just got to keep going though, and that's what we did. Even though you're just moving fish, why can't we get them to eat? But finally, Jake did what he does best and put fish in the net. So I would say we were kind of thinking back, and one of the major takeaways that we saw this year was a very good blade bite.
Yeah, primarily blades.
Yeah, and that would contrast with, looking back over the last few years, I would say we've experienced good blade bites, and we've said to ourselves, say like the last 2 or 3 years ago, it's like, where is the blade bite? Mm-hmm. And we were doing so much better on pull pause type baits, like previous seasons, that there wasn't any standout blade bite to us. And now all of a sudden this year, we put a lot more fish in the net on blades, which is kind of interesting, because how we kind of look at it is, obviously Jake and I, a lot of times we fish contrasting style baits. Like he's fishing pull pause, I'm fishing blades or constant retrieve. And so we probably do in a given year still throw blades as much as we did in the past, and vice versa with pull to pause. And it really seemed that there was, whoever was throwing blades last year seemed like they were putting more fish in the boat.
Yeah, and actually seeing them, we had a lot more fouls this last year as well.
Right. And that was one thing too, another takeaway, that we saw more fish, which is always encouraging, because even though you're not putting them in the net, I still think there's a big benefit to seeing fish, because it allows you to know that you're at least in the right spot, you're fishing the right structure, and you're setting up, as far as how you're setting up on the fish. And you might not convert them, but at least you know they're there, or you have something to go back on later that day or something like that. So as a whole, looking at blades specifically, I would say by far we had our best luck with smaller single bladed stuff. So like single fluted Indianas were good for us last year. This particular one's from Pandemonium Tackle, and then we were testing out another one here that was a single bladed bucktail that was actually custom tuned by Rich Reiner, which we will leave a link in the description for a bucktail video if you guys didn't see it from last year, where Rich really shared a lot of his knowledge as far as bucktails are concerned, and showed you how to tune them a little bit. So this one put a couple in the boat. We're still testing that one out. You put 2 in the boat on double 10s.
Yeah, I actually had some luck with 10s this year.
Yep.
A little bit bigger profile, just searching for bigger fish, night fishing.
Right, and that one was night fishing, which a little bit more vibration, pushing more water at night with those 10s. Easier for fish to find it. Mm-hmm. And Lee Lures Boilermaker was a number 9. I'm sure some of you guys saw that video. Night fishing, once again, perfect bait for night fishing. You can slow roll it over the top of weeds or weed beds, along weed edges, and I think the fact that it's slow at night and the thump of that blade just allows fish to find it easier. Mm-hmm. So as far as that's concerned, that was one major takeaway, was a good blade bite this year, and that kind of transitions into the opposite side of the spectrum, where the topwater bite for us just didn't happen.
No, there was almost non-existent this year with topwater.
Yeah.
Still threw it, maybe not quite as much, but still very often, and just didn't go this year. So
right, which we all know how much Jake loves topwater, so he's usually the one leading that charge. But yeah, it didn't happen. But that's kind of the things as you're sitting over winter just talking and thinking. It's like this is what comes to mind. It's like these different trends that you see, and obviously every year is kind of different. Though there's, obviously there's consistency with how to catch muskies, but there's just little I don't know little nuances that we ran into. So we also saw a slower sucker bite this year too, as far as
Yeah.
going into the fall. We had a much warmer fall than I think previous years, so we didn't cool down quite as fast. But I would say, it didn't really kick in for us till probably middle of October here in northern Wisconsin. Beginning to middle of October, which sometimes we've seen it, end of September.
Mm-hmm.
But a little different this year. Obviously, every year is different as far as how the weather plays out. But just to check on some other thoughts that we had down here. Yeah, another interesting factor for us, takeaway, was we broke our string of 50s. So we had 5 years straight of at least getting a 50-inch fish in the boat,
Mm-hmm.
but this year it just didn't happen. So I would say, as a whole, we definitely had less hours on the water this year, which obviously is going to play into it. Our numbers were a little bit down, and our average size was a little bit up though.
Yep.
So your biggest this year ended up being the 46 and 3/4,
46 and 3/4.
and that was caught twitching 6-inch minnow bait,
Yep.
which seems like your bread and butter. You definitely put quite a few fish in the boat on that.
Yeah, it works. I mean, there's obviously multiple different baits that we use. The new one too is the Lee Lures. It's the Death Paws minnow.
Yep, and
He's
that's
got
the 7-inch.
This is 7-inch. He has 3 different sizes now, I believe, right?
Yep, but I think he's got the 5.5, the 6.5, and the 7.5 right there.
Yeah, so we just got this in fall, I think.
There's definitely some very nice hang time,
Mm-hmm.
which, obviously that pause on the minnow baits is when we see so many fish hit.
Mm-hmm. The
And-
longer you can hold it there, they just come out of nowhere and typically always hit it.
Yep. So 6 and 7-inch minnow baits are that's what we like to run.
Yeah.
I know last fall, I was twitching a 7-inch minnow bait, had some good luck with that. So it's a nice size. It's not overbearing to throw for sure. I mean, it's probably most people would consider it on the small size.
Yeah.
But fish love it. So, like we said, with that no 50 this year, we've had 5 years in a row of 50-inch fish, and it's obviously it goes to show you how special it is to actually catch a 50-inch fish. And obviously we put a lot of hours on in every year as far as on the water, as many of you guys do too. And when you get that one big fish, that's it makes the year, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's not all about the 50 either.
No.
But it just goes to show you how special it is and how much we all have to appreciate those years when you're putting 50-inch fish in the boat.
Oh, especially on inland water.
Yeah.
We didn't get to fish Green Bay this year.
Yep. One time. But that was,
Yeah.
less than 12 hours we spent
Yeah.
there. So, but yeah, it is very true about the inland fish.
Yeah.
They're a rare breed, and
They're definitely special when you come across one.
exactly. Other than that, one big factor as far as why fishable hours were down was because you had a lifetime experience out in Montana as far as your elk hunt.
Yeah, basically all September. I don't think we fished any.
I don't think
weekends in
so. I think we
September.
basically took a month off, but I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I was 2 weeks out there. The week before was leaving. The week after was basically cutting up the elk and getting everything put away.
Yeah.
So it was the whole month. And yeah, it was just an incredible experience, new experience, first time I was out there. So
Yeah, you went with your dad and Alex,
Dad and
your
Alex,
brother. You guys put your work in for the
it
elk
was-
that you got.
yeah, definitely a lot of work, a lot of, driving, a lot of walking.
Yeah.
But it was definitely worth it, and we were able to come back with 2 bulls. So
Yeah, and when I got the picture, I was like, of course, Jake does what he does best, and he gets himself another awesome trophy. So, what a gift from God as far as the meat and the experience. From the story you told him, it was a pretty impressive hunt.
yeah, so what happened is we actually got, my dad and I, both our bulls within minutes of each other in the exact same spot with the same group of like 6 elk. So he got his, and then mine came, and I got mine.
And it was with a bow on public land.
On public land, yeah.
So, the first time ever out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll throw a few pictures in here of the elk, and what did that end up being as far as?
Mine was, it was a 6x6. It did have a small 7th point on it. And then my dad's, I think, was a 4x4 or something. It had some broken tines and everything, but both great bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to shoot the one that he shot. He shot it before me because he was a little bit closer, but ended up getting both of them. So
That's pretty awesome. How far was the shot?
I think my dad's was 35, and I think mine was 50. So
Yeah, and then the work began.
oh yeah,
Packing it out.
Yeah, cutting it up. We spent, I think, 4 hours to quarter both of ours and hang them in trees because we had coyotes all around us, and it was nice and cool. So the next day we came in and hauled everything out, and that took another, I want to say, 7 hours. We were about 3 miles in. So it was a long haul, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, I mean, obviously, usually the last few years you've pulled off a 50-inch fish, and this year you still got a nice trophy. So you got congrats to that. I mean, that was cool to see. So yeah, I mean, you never know what each year will bring, but you're always chasing big fish or big bucks or something like that. So
Yeah.
as far as other things that we kind of thought of back to musky fishing now, one of I think the biggest takeaways that stands out in my mind from this season was fishing a brand new body of water, and we start looking around, exploring, and we get there and we're like, man, this is awesome musky structure.
Mm-hmm.
The weeds were great. There was mid-lake humps, but what really helped to lessen our learning curve on this new body of water was implementing the auto chart live feature on the Hummingbird, which we've done before, but it was like this lake was so poorly mapped.
Oh,
We didn't really know where to begin. But Jake's like, let's turn on auto chart and just drive around for a little while, and all of a sudden you're finding the depth contours, and it's very eye opening. What is truly underwater as far as your fishing, and then mix that in with side imaging. Your weed edges become visible.
Mm-hmm.
Your inside outside turns, weed pods that are off the side that you wouldn't even know are there. And I guess one takeaway is not that electronics are necessarily making it super easy to catch fish, but it lessens the learning curve as far as how you should be setting up on these fish and where they are setting up, as far as where they're structured, where's their home, why are they setting up here?
Potential spots at least.
Right.
Because it looks great. We fished it that whole weekend that first time, and we didn't see a fish. We're like, it just looks too good for there not to be fish here.
Yep.
We came back the next weekend and caught 3.
So, obviously a lot of it is, weather based with muskies, and fishing weekends you hit poor timing as far as that's concerned, poor conditions. But like Jake noted, took that first weekend to really learn it and gain some insight as far as what we could be fishing, where we could be fishing, marking out waypoints, marking out mid-lake humps that have weeds on them that just look amazing. Coming back to that same structure the next weekend, slightly different conditions, 3 fish in the boat. So, I don't know. It's really nice to be able to have the auto chart live feature and side imaging, but I still think it takes putting in hours as far as musky fishing is concerned.
Oh yeah.
So that right there shows it, because we had great setup as far as learning it with side imaging, mapping it out, but we still didn't catch a single fish that weekend. Come back, and obviously we did took what we learned from the previous weekend, but had better conditions and still put in the time, and some muskies hit the net. So yeah, we're obviously looking forward to the next season. We've had a busy year though, even in the personal life. I mean, we celebrated your wedding in December.
Yeah.
So you're entering a new phase of life as far as that's concerned. I got engaged back in July 4th of 2021, and wedding in May. So right before musky season starts.
Yeah.
But we're looking forward to another year upcoming here as far as 2022. See what it brings, and hopefully we're putting big fish in the boat.
Yeah.
We'll try to make some time for you guys as far as Burnin' Eights is concerned, and obviously turkey season's coming up too.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next episode.